Next set of cards.
Okay, so moving on to some criminal cards, we've got the man, Gabe Santiago himself.
He's my favorite.
He is also my favorite runner.
Account Syphon, Easy Mark, Forged Activation Orders, Inside Job, Special Orders, Lemuria Codecracker, Sneak Door Beta, Bank Job, and Decoy.
So you picked just a few for criminal.
Well, here's
you
the
like
thing.
criminal?
Yeah,
I'm just throwing that out there. You like criminal.
No, I feel like the criminal's got a lot of techie cards in which we can discuss the strategy around them anyway. Well, not this one. Easy Mark, you just get 3 money. The reason why I actually wanted to grab this one was because a lot of people think it's good. It's not great, but some of the time I would actually cut this card for other cards.
I cut it
because because it's not. I don't feel like it's that great. I mean, if you're in criminal and you have the space, you might as well run.
It's a nice filler.
It's a nice filler card, but I wouldn't run it all the time. A lot of other newer players might think, oh, that's so good because it's 3 money versus the one you would get for the 1 action. So that's the reason why I wanted to mention this one.
Forge Activation Orders. This card is amazing in multiple ways that don't always jump out at you. If you suspect they just put down expensive ice they can't pay for, you can make them trash it. If you suspect they have multiple ice out there and they don't want you to run one type of thing, but they don't want to lose ice over here, you make them res that. They don't have money to res it here, you run here, and you're getting all kinds of things. This card is ridiculously flexible. You can do all kinds of things about it.
And it's so cheap just for 1.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's always worth splashing.
It is 2 influence.
Really
it's
good.
2 influence,
It's 2
right?
influence.
Yeah, it's 2 influence, but sometimes it might be worth putting that 1 or 2 because it can either get you information, it can throw their resources around, you can be a bully about it, you can potentially destroy a piece of ice, which is kind of rare in a lot of instances. So
yeah. But that's Forged Activation Orders. As we get more cards and each faction gets more breakers, so I don't have to do things like pull in the other faction's breakers that I like, then Forged Activation Orders I think will start showing up in more of my non-criminal decks even more. Most important card for splashing in other decks, I think, especially a Shaper deck, for instance, is Special Order. We've mentioned this card already. Search your deck for an Icebreaker, reveal it, add it to your grip, shuffle your stack for 1 money. It's really good because if I have 3 of these, suddenly it's like I have 4 Corroders and 4 Guardian Braids and 4 Ninjas in the deck. These 3 are kind of the base of my criminal decks and my Shaper decks, and then I'll have 3 of these in either.
No,
am I off on that? Because I'm pretty sure you do the same thing.
Well, no, well, it depends on...
Oh, you don't because you're pulling all those Shapers.
yeah. Well, Ninjas, I like the Corroder and Guardian Blade, I undoubtedly pretty much put in every deck if I can. The Sentry Breakers, because I don't feel like there's an absolute Sentry Breaker yet, so... Like the thing that might fill this void for me is Crypsis or something generic.
I mean, for Shaper, so you don't put that in Shaper decks.
No, I don't. Yeah, I do not.
But do you put this in Shaper decks?
Yes, I do put Special Order in Shaper.
There we go.
Decks, so.
See, Special Order in Shaper. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Special Order is in everything.
In everything.
It is not my Anarch decks.
It
is in my Anarch decks that run basic Shapers. If I'm doing the Anarch package, I don't run Special.
Yeah, I don't run.
Correct. In non-heavy virus based.
Right.
We talked about Infiltration before. This is the other card that can expose. This is a repeatable expose effect. And you can only do it, though, when you run an HQ. However, if you're playing Gabriel Santiago, he wants to run HQ. And if you're using this program, which we'll get to in a sec, Sneak Door Beta, you have multiple ways to get to HQ. I like running this card. I'm even a more risky runner than either of these two, and I still like to be able to expose a card every once in a while, just to know.
Do you run 1 or 2?
Of these?
Yes.
In my criminal? 2.
Okay, I run 2 in my criminal as well. But I kind of rely on it a little bit more, so...
Sometimes I'll start running if I don't have it. If I have it, though, I'll use it to play more of a information game.
Right.
Rather than I'll play a little less risky when I have this out, but I think it's my percentages of... Wins. My percentages go up when I have this.
Yes.
It's also great because, I don't think I've done this to you, but I've done this to him. I'll start using this on areas on areas I'm not interested in, just so he gets worried about it and starts protecting it more, and then I'll run other areas and win the game there. A general strategy thing. Mind games win this game. If you're good at playing mind games, play them to the hilt. Nam has become a better player against me because he now ignores me during the game. He doesn't listen to anything I say. He doesn't watch my face. He doesn't watch what I do. He just purely watches the board, and he wins more often against me now. Because my mind games mess with him.
It's really he does it really well, and if I don't actively ignore it, I will actually get affected by it. So, for example, let's say he's running on my deck or my hand, and he gets to see a card because he accesses it. So I deliberately don't look at him when he's reacting to the card that he's accessed, because I know That doesn't matter. I just have to go off of the base statistics.
That being said, Lamora Codecracker is a card I can get around that with, because if I start exposing cards in this remote server, he's like, oh, he's focused on this server. I may have to report it to protect it more. He's going to use that bank job on it, which we'll get to bank job in a sec. Where I just want him to do that so I can start running R&D in HQ more often. I don't think he's noticed that, so I've kind of shown my hand.
He's kind of given that away. Now I know to watch out for it, but now I can also use this weapon against it because I already run this. The problem is I kind of use it more empirically, so I guess I have to start using it more like you're using it as well. Yeah.
It's something I'll do. That's a longer game technique. If it's a sprint to the finish, it's not.
Oh yeah, it doesn't do anything as if you're going to finish right.
But in a longer game technique, I have used that against you to make you think.
We've had
we've
had a few long games.
We've had a few really
good games. Yeah.
Speaking of bank job.
Yes,
bank job. Bank job.
Oh, hold on. We're also going to talk about Sneak Door Beta.
Sneak Door Beta, real quick. Gabriel Santiago makes money when you run HQ, which is great. This, you can expose things when you run HQ. Sneak Door Beta, you can run the archive server to access HQ. This is nothing but good, in my opinion. I love Sneak Door Beta. I know some people don't.
I would run it in pretty much all criminal decks where you're Gabriel Santiago.
I run 3 of them all the time.
I would not run it in other decks because they don't need to run HQ.
Sneak Door Beta, a lot of cards are ports from the old game of Netrunner. Sneak Door Beta is a direct port of an old card. It was good then, but it wasn't great. However, if you're playing Criminal because he gets a bonus from HQ runs, and you have another card that gives you a bonus from HQ runs, this is also a port from the old game. But there was no identities in the old game. So if you're playing Criminal and you get a bonus for HQ runs, Sneak Door Beta is just a no-brainer.
It's great. It's
It's a no-brainer. I think it's the basis of every Criminal strategy, in my opinion. Does anyone not run them? Have you guys ever seen a Criminal deck without it?
I mean, I run at least 2, probably 3, but it really depends on the build on whether I want to run 2 or 3.
Even if you don't hit it, the corporation will frequently, when playing against criminals, have to protect their archives, even if they wouldn't otherwise, just to play against the potential of them getting the Sneak Door Beta.
Because if they don't get it, you could just go action 1, play Sneak Door Beta. Action
run.
2, yeah.
2, 3, and 4.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's free runs. Now, granted, you only get the bonus on the first one, but if, again, Netrunner, mind games, great. If you suspect they have a bunch of agendas in their hand, then tally ho on those on their hand. Start running it, which is why, again, if you get those 4 or 5 agendas in your open hand, get rid of them.
Especially against Criminal.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even bluff having no agendas in hand against Criminal because they're gonna run it.
Granted, I haven't done any tournament play. There haven't been tournaments in our area. I have because we play more casually. I have if after I mold as the corporation, if I draw a hand and I have 4 or 5 agendas in hand and they're Criminal, I just say sweet scoop.
Yeah, he just concedes.
Reshuffle everything. I conceded immediately because I have gotten. Oh, actually, the first time I had 4 agendas in hand against Criminal, and man, I played the game of my life, and I still lost 7-2. So
yeah, and here's the thing: like he kind of.
Oh man,
that was against me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like. Here's the thing: we lasted a few more turns than I think he thought we were gonna go because so I ran it a few times.
This was also before you stopped. You started ignoring me.
Yeah.
So I was playing with your head quite a bit. I played the mind game of my life. And still lost.
It worked, and he still lost. So I mean, just you can't do it. You just can't do it against Criminal.
Bank job, solid money card.
I agree.
Yep.
This is really good, especially against corporation players who don't know how to bluff. Because if they just put one that's faced down on the remote server, you can go to run on it, and then if they accidentally make a, oh hey, you're going to access it, and then it's like, no, bank job, and then you might have gotten some information there. But worst case scenario, you just get a bunch of money and nothing happens.
See, I do it the opposite way. I had bank job out, and you tried to bluff me putting an agenda out. You hadn't put an agenda's hand. You put an agenda out, and you thought, oh, well, he's going to run it, but he's just going to get bank job, and I'll be able to advance that agenda and get it okay next turn because he had something he wanted to protect here.
Right.
And I ran and did bank job, got the agenda. but then you thought about it too long. The thing with Netrunner is it's so mind game. Oh my god. Don't think about anything too long. Because don't do this a bunch. If you're doing this, don't do that unless you want them to think you're doing that.
Yes.
Again, that's one of the things I do. That's why he ignores me.
That's why I start to ignore him. And it actually works. Like, I started to win against him a little bit more, and it's just like, okay. But
you ruined my fun is what you did.
But in this game, in the game of Netrunner, assuming the cards are relatively equal, like in far as situations, it's pretty much how the player is playing against the player, which I kind of nod my hat to because a lot of other games, it's not really like that. A lot of other games are more, hey, this is going to happen, I'm I'm gonna mess you up with these things, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Whereas this one is, well, there's always something you can do, even if it's a lie. You know.
Good poker players say you play the player, not the game. I think that applies to Netrunner even more than poker. So.
Well, here's the thing. I don't play pro poker, so I don't even know exactly how much you're playing the player.
Pro poker, but I've played enough poker in my day to.
Yeah. I used to play poker a lot too, but anyway.
With actual money.
Yeah, but it wasn't like big stakes, so it was like $5,
$10. Yeah, that's what we used to do all the time.
Okay.
That's what we used to do all the time.
Nothing crazy. Inside Job. It's an event, and you make a run and you bypass the first piece of ice. I like it. I've tried running it in a Shaper deck. Works fine.
Inside Job I put in a park with Personal Touch. It's a really good card. I like the effect a lot. However, it's not a high enough impact card that I run it outside of faction.
Correct.
I run it in most criminal decks, at least 2 copies.
Yeah.
I usually try and run 3.
If I'm looking for space to cut out, I will cut an Inside Job.
Right.
Because there are times, like, I get an Inside Job, and I'm like, well, that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not absolutely bent on always keeping all 3 copies of it.
It's also
like,
free influence. I've never run it outside of faction.
I've run it outside of faction once, but only 1 copy, just for the one off chance. Just to experiment with it. It didn't work very well, because I think you just need the consistency of having it.
Also, the great part about it is it. I mean, you can bypass that first piece of ice. However, most of the time, I use it because I don't know a piece of ice. I really want to get in there, and I don't know the piece of ice.
Right.
And all it does for me is make the corporation go, well, fine, I just won't,
Yeah.
Fine, if the one piece of ice there, fine, I just won't res and make you waste your card.
Yeah,
because you're going to bypass it anyway.
So
they end up being able to spend those resources elsewhere. I did get through, but then a lot of those times then, when they finally res it, I'm like, oh, I could have got through.
Yeah, I feel like it's a real tempo card. Like, you have to use it strategically.
It's good, but it's not as good as it's not as glorious as it is in a vacuum.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a strategic use card. You can't use it willy-nilly all the time. You've got to use it at the right time, and hopefully the benefit at that time is really good. Or they might res their 1 piece of ice that's 1 cost, so you'll still have to go into the bigger one behind it or whatever. So
I said this isn't potent enough effect to really run out of faction. This is an extremely potent effect, but it's 4 influence, so I don't run this out of faction either.
I would never run this out of faction.
Account Syphon. Make a run on HQ. If successful, instead of accessing cards, you may force the Corp to lose up to 5 money, and you gain 2 money for each credit lost and take 2 tax. Important thing with this, first of all, you can't use it with Sneak Door Beta, just like Inside Job. It's very important to remember. Second, you may force the Corp to lose up to 5 money. This is a fun thing. You can actually make them lose all their money without doing it. Like, say they have something like a trace they can dump their money into in front of HQ. Most of the time, even if I'm corporation, I would do it anyways. I'll dump the money in there just so they don't drain me and get it, but then they don't get the 2 tags.
Right.
If I'm playing something that 1 tags, I'll let them take the money. But it's still a really potent effect. It lets you control the pace of the game. I really like this card. It's really good. If I'm not mistaken, most people like this card when they were playing Criminal.
I like it. Here's the thing. Depending on what the other money things are or how much I'll run on HQ, pretty much most of the time I'll run definitely 1. Maybe not 2, which is what comes with base set. 3, I don't think I'd run 3.
I've run 3.
Okay. All right. It just depends on your preference then. So
I put this card in a category with Snare.
Okay.
In the fact that mentioned earlier with deck building, always have you'll throw in a copy of Snare just because the other person has to worry about it. Anytime you're making the person worry less about their strategy and more compensating for your strategy, I feel you have the control of the table, which is important, especially in such a mind game. Count Syphon lets you control the pace of the table. It's really good. That being said, I have cut it. Okay. I've actually run Criminal without it, and Criminal's just solid all around. It's not a role player. It's not a breaker or a magnum opus making you solid money. I don't consider this a money card. I consider this a control the board state card. It can make you a bunch of money. However, you got to consider if you want to remove those tags, unless you have tricks to remove the tags. You're talking you can drain them a 5. You make 10 money, but then you got to spend 2 more actions removing the tags, and that's not counting any money you may have spent getting through ice to get there. So
right, exactly.
It's really great because you control the state of the game, but it's not like Bank Job is a much more solid money card.
If you know that you're going to be getting tags and you know that the opponent's running cards that will exploit that, that means Scorched Earth being a very good example, or Neural EMP, or a combination of both.
Closed accounts is what I think.
Closed accounts closed accounts after this.
Because they're like, you steal my money, you lose yours.
You know, exactly. You got to be really careful, but if you're being extra careful, because I know about playing safe, second action, use this, because then you'll have the 2 afterwards to remove the tags. Unless you have tricks, which is one of them right now.
Decoy.
Decoy. I really like Decoy, and Jeremy actually showed me how amazing it is out of faction, so I've started to run this
really good
out of faction, because tags are very dangerous to get, and just for one, as a resource, you have it on table, you can trash it to prevent yourself from gaining a tag.
It's a solid card. I'll run it in... I've actually run it.
I'll run it in all factions.
I'll run it in all factions.
Yeah, I think it's good
See,
enough.
the thing is, though, this card, as opposed to Account Syphon, Account Syphon is a large effect, but it's not a role player. Decoy is not a large effect, but is a role player. It is a solid card that's going to do work for you that's good. For instance, there is the corporation there are combos in the corporation that they can give you tags on their turn, which is not common, and then use those tags to beat the crap out of you. This can protect against that. It's a shield. It's one-time use, though, so don't just toss it like you're trying to get through Hunter. Don't just crack it on that. Save it for something.
Save it for a surprise when you need it.
Especially if you're playing against Wayland or NBN. If you're playing against Jinteki or a House Spiral, you're usually relatively safe to just go, oh, I hit a snare. Well, I'm just going to crack this so I at least don't get the tag from the snare.
We'll talk about Scorched Earth later, but that's for influence. Out of
Scorched
faction.
Earth, you don't play out of faction.
Out of Wayland. Except for me. If you're me.
I've seen it in NBN.
Yeah, but I...
Alright, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just talk about the last runner faction, and then...
no,
Anarch.
We haven't talked about Anarch.
We have not talked about Anarch.
Jeez.
I have a feeling I don't have all the Anarch cards there. But that's okay.
I would say there are less Anarch cards than there were criminal cards.
Power and weakness of Anarch at the same time is their cards work together much more than the other factions. The problem is their cards work together more than any other faction, because in order to get your engine running, you need multiple parts. You need cards that work together and do things. Like, you could have a card that individually doesn't do anything. You have A and you have B. You have your car and you have your tires. A car without tires is a hunk of metal that sits on the ground. Tires without a car...
Very expensive CD player.
It's a very expensive CD player and air conditioning hut.
Oh, yes.
Air-conditioned hut. Tires without a car is a heap of rubber. Together, they are a device that can move you from point A to point B at surprisingly fast speeds. That's the way Anarch works. The problem is Anarch card A is your engine, Anarch card B is the frame of the car, Anarch card C is a tire, Anarch card D is the key to start the engine.
And your roll cage is actually out of faction.
Oh gosh, it really is, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
It is.
Anarch is awesome, but you need so many parts to work together. You need so much things to line up.
It's a Rube Goldberg machine. When it works, it works. When you're missing the ping pong ball, it does nothing. The
chicken caws and you don't end up boiling the water. But the thing is, all five, at least I know 4 of us at this table really want to try to make Anarch work because it's so cool. How often do we get Anarch to work really well?
Like less than 20% of the time, probably.
My criminal shaper decks are way better.
And the only reason why one of us isn't trying is because he doesn't own all the cards. He just plays when he hangs out with us.
Yeah, we're... So Anarch, again, Anarch has some really cool stuff. So we're going to show you a few things here. They're really cool, but alone in a vacuum there, the longer it takes you to assemble your engine, the more corporation has time to build up servers and build up defense and have answers to your answers.
Or just get a gun on the game and just be like, score.
Yeah, and just start scoring agendas where you're like, if I just get one more card, I'll be in this game. And
yeah, so it becomes tough tempo-wise as the Anarch.
Yeah, just wait till the Anarchs have something more like precognition.
Anytime you have a common gaming thing is a combo. If you're not familiar with combo, just impossibly. A combo is multiple cards working together to do one big effect, win you the game. Anarch is the combo deck. They need those combinations of cards. A card that lets you like sift through your deck or search for cards, those are usually considered combo enablers. Anarch doesn't have a powerful enough combo enabler. If I had a powerful combo enabler,
I think you could really do it.
Then I think Anarch could work. But then that also could be me being an alchemist and wanting to make Anarch work because I want to make it work. But I don't think
yeah, see, the problem right now I feel with Anarch with just the base set is that I would want to run 3 Diesel in there. But the problem with that is Diesel, that's a lot of influence.
Diesel is a combo enabler. The problem is there's other stuff I need because what also Anarch has all these cards that are engine pieces. They also don't have. They have no money cards.
Yeah, so you got to splash the money cards.
So you need neutral and out of faction money cards. They have no enablers. So you got to splash the other enablers.
Yeah.
And you only have 15 influence. If I had Anarch deck with like tons of influence, I'd make it work. But that also could be me just saying that because I really want it to work.
Yeah, like if you had like maybe, what, 20 influence, do you think that could make the difference? Or would it have to be like 25?
I think I need like 25.
Yeah, I think 25, okay. I think
because I want Magnum Opus. I want Diesel. I want Special Order.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 big ones, but
Magnum
Opus are 2 each.
Yeah, modded is 2 each. I would run modded.
Oh, modded, yeah.
Modded is so good for Anarch because a lot of their stuff does cost 3 to 5.
They need money cards.
Yes, money cards. All right. So let's talk about some of these cards.
We've got Noise. We've got Wyldeside. We've got Djinn. We've got Parasite, Medium, and Cyberfeeder.
And of course, Corroder. But we already talked about Corroder.
Corroder's awesome.
Corroder's great.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about Wyldeside. I know this one's been kind of really, I guess, polarizing because it's either you shouldn't run it or you should always run it. What are our opinions? Wait. Let's have you go last because I know what your opinion is.
Okay.
So, all right, how do you feel about Wyldeside?
I am a fan.
I think it is very situational, but I would actually prefer not to run it more of the time.
I like Wyldeside. You would think, oh, it's Diesel every turn. The problem is with Wyldeside is I find that every time I play Wyldeside, and I know these guys disagree with me, every time I play Wyldeside, my game turns into, oh my gosh, I have to play all these cards I'm getting from Wyldeside instead of getting points from the agenda. And again, it turns into one of those things where it plays that Anarch thing even to a more extreme. I'm building all these combo pieces, and now I'm like, all right, I got to build all these combo pieces while getting all these cards and getting enough money to play all these cards, so I'm not throwing all my combo pieces in the garbage, in the heap. I'm sorry, in the heap. And while I'm doing that, the corporation's sitting there going, he's not running it all. I'll just start scoring agendas.
Yeah.
And I lose.
Well, the corporation can just kind of wait.
The corporation can just sit there and stare at you while you're going, I got to juggle all these balls. You're sitting there juggling, and they're like, I'm going to bulldoze you now.
Yeah, once you have no cards left, then they could just be like, I'm going to meat damage you to death because you have no more cards in your deck.
No, I never have to worry about meat damage. I never, ever, because the Wyldeside works best against Jinteki, because you're just drawing more cards to get the cards, get rid of the cards you don't have, but you lose that action each turn.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like much, but, oh man.
That one action, you're going to miss that action.
That one action.
Like, I miss that action.
Because I'm like, like I said, when I play Wyldeside, every game I have turns into, oh man, I'm going to lose an action and I don't want more cards.
All right, well, let's just pretend.
There is too much of a good thing.
Wyldeside is like sleeping for 9 hours a day instead of your 6 or 7. That's basically what it is. You're more rested for your other 3 actions, but you're missing a huge chunk of your day. So,
Anarchs, we talked about their breakers. Corroder is the exception. Is the exception because most breakers have one line for how much it costs for breaking, and they have one line for how much it costs to increase the strength of the breaker. The Anarch breakers, they have two breakers that are very powerful. They're very efficient,
but static strength.
But they do not have an increased strength element. So you have these 2 breakers that are like Yogg 0.0 is awesome. It costs 5, which is expensive, but for 0 money, break a code gate subroutine at strength 3. Most code gates don't like this because you just walk right through them for free. So the corporation has spent money to install the card, spent money to res the card, spent money to do all kinds of things protecting it, spent deck space, and you walk through it
and
for
you
free.
Just say, break, break.
But if they have a more powerful ice at that code gate, Yogg 0.0 does nothing. So what you need is cards like Parasite. Parasite you attach to ice, it lowers the strength of the ice, and then it makes this break through it for free. So you have Parasite, or you have a card like Datasucker, which lets you lower the strength of the ice, which can either make Parasite destroy it, or it can make these free breakers go through for free. Or Mimic is cost 1, but it's still very efficient. These are the most efficient breakers in the game if you can use them. So in order to use them, you need to be able to use other things. Now here's the problem. This takes memory, this takes memory, this takes memory. So you need things like Djinn to search for viruses that can lower the strength. Okay. So Djinn you can use to host non-icebreaker programs. The problem is you can't host Parasite because it's not in your rig. You can't host these because they're icebreakers. So you can host things like Datasucker or Medium on there. And Medium is an amazingly powerful card if you can get to R&D. So, how do I get to R&D? Well, I use things like these free breakers and this Parasite and the Djinn, and suddenly I need all of these cards at once to do it.
Right.
Individually, these cards are so good. Like, these 2 cards are the most efficient breakers in the game. They
Right.
just are.
They're very efficient, but if they don't actually break you through anything, then you have a whole set of other problems that needs more cards to
If
fix.
they're always efficient, they're not always effective.
Exactly. They're most in. And the Djinn can let you search for viruses. And viruses are very powerful. Like, Noise likes viruses. He can do stuff with them. Grimoire, another, the Anarch console currently, likes viruses. So it can search for a virus, and it can host, well, it can't host that one, but it can host this virus, Medium. You can host it on there so you're not using up memory space because you have all these programs. The problem is you're spending all of this time doing all of this stuff. And each effect is, again, the effects are powerful, but they just...
And that's a lot of money. And remember, Anarch has so many money issues. You have to run out of faction cards for money.
Well, that's the thing, though. The programs, other than Yogg.0, things are relatively cheap. 2 is cheap.
2 is cheap, yeah.
For Parasite,
3 is acceptable.
to corrode away a piece of powerful ice. Like, Parasite versus Archer hates Parasite. Archer is such a scary card, and it hates Parasite. And it only costs 2 to cast. The problem is, once it's gone, it goes in your garbage. Oh, but I have a card in Anarch that can get stuff back from my heap and put it back in my hand. But again, I need that card, and I need more fuel, and I need more money, and I need.
So
that's me with Anarch.
Yeah.
That kind of sums up Anarch for me. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. Medium is so cool. I want to make Medium work. And I have used Medium to draw like 7 cards deep into R&D.
which is
so cool!
Except
But-
for, remember that one time that you were going to win the game? Okay, so basically what he did was he ran, and I was Jinteki, and then he needed like 2 agendas to win. And they were in those like 5 cards or whatever. But the first one he got, he had no cards in hand.
That
so he
damage
would've
killed
died.
me.
Yes.
That damage killed me. I would have won if I had 1 more card in hand. But it was my last action of the turn. I didn't have any more actions to do it. Everything worked so well, and I still lost because I just...
Did you have Wyldeside out at the time?
Yes.
Well, there was your action.
Yes, okay, so...
Well, that's the thing. Wyldeside got me 2 cards, though. No, I didn't.
No, he didn't have Wyldeside out because he had no cards out. So.
No, I didn't have Wyldeside because the last time I played... Because we played 2 games.
Yeah.
I played Wyldeside, and it turned into my game of, oh, I got to play all these cards I'm getting from Wyldeside. So then after that game, I was... Heck with Wyldeside! Get out of here! And I basically changed the 3 cards from 3 Wyldeside to 3 of something else. And then we played this game, and I got so close. And
Yeah, and it's still rough. As Anarch, I think right now, just from the base set, Anarch doesn't have enough to make a streamlined deck to be consistent enough.
I'm going to say this. If you're new, if you're watching this video, if you watch the tutorial video and you're watching us talk about general strategy and stuff like that, if you don't play Anarch first, get used to the game for a while, and then once you play the game for a while, you'll turn into us and you'll go, I can beat Anarch! And you won't. You can
do it.
Write comments in the video, tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. If Anarch works for you, God bless you. But I really want Anarch to work and I just can't make it work.
I'll read all the comments, but if there's any... Okay.
I'll read them too.
If there's any directed to him, I'll be like, hey, dude, you gotta read this comment.
Tell me I'm wrong, but I think...
I think the one thing that Anarch will make you do is basically teach you how to use all of your resources. Teach you how to use them well and effective. So it might be worth like a little experiment if you're just going to play it once or twice and then be like, oh man, I appreciate these other factions' money or their actions so much more.
Playing Anarch will make you appreciate playing criminals and having money coming out your ears.
Yes,
Oh my gosh,
exactly. So it's definitely an eye opener for anybody who wants to play a runner.
Final Anarch card is possibly the weakest effect. Well, the least impact effect. Yet I run, this is Cyberfeeder. I run Cyberfeeder in every deck.
Before, I wouldn't have run Cyberfeeder in every deck, maybe 1 or 2 decks. Jeremy has changed my mind to running this in many decks for various reasons. So, do you know what any of those reasons are? Because I know, like, we play a little bit less with you.
I'm sure I had good reasons, but I don't remember them anymore.
All right.
Cyberfeeder is okay. I know some people don't like Cyberfeeder because they say, "Oh, I'm spending too money. I need to use I need 2 turns to make the money back." And my response is, "So, you're gonna
Yeah.
make the money back." Any game I've ever played, I've never lost money on Cyberfeeder, unless it was I played it and like won that turn.
Or lost that turn.
Yeah, feel free to not play it on the last turn of the game.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's so good.
Now,
it's 1 influence, it costs 2, and it's recurring credits. It's a savings account with 50% output.
It's now here's the thing, right? You can use the credits to pay for icebreakers or virus programs. Now, first of all, it's already
using
Anarch.
icebreakers.
Oh,
or yes.
using icebreakers
or installing viruses.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I have to make
no. That's a distinction.
Distinction there. But now, if you really think about this, right? So you play this on turn 1 for 2 credits, right? And you can use it right away. It's not like there's any restriction keeping you. So you can install. So that already gets you back money that turn, and then the following turn you use it again. So anytime after that, it's pretty much efficient usage of it because you're just getting free money.
It's free money, but it's not only free money. We mentioned a card earlier, account Syphon. You can steal money from the corporation. Well, the corporation can steal money from you with a card like closed accounts. This is money. Closed accounts doesn't take this money away. Other effects don't take this money away. You're always going to have access to this.
So unless they destroy Cyberfeeder, they don't take away the resource advantage that this grants you.
Which in the base game there is no way to. There's no way to destroy hardware.
Yeah, that's right.
Hardware is completely protected. So once you play this, as long as you use it twice, it is after that free money.
Yeah.
It is raining money. Hallelujah. I like Cyberfeeder. Again, but then it's a small impact card, but it's a role player. It's always going to be there. It's always going to do an effect you want. You want money. You want money to use icebreakers. So, boom. There it is.
It's Toronto in less than 10 parsecs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, parsecs are measurement.
Yes.
How much is a plane
Unfortunately,
ticket
now
from
he's not.
Toronto to here?
I don't need a plane ticket. You
Why would
drive
you
there
still
for
It's only
8
like 2 hours away.
It's 3 hours away. But
That's
Oh,
Depends
I was
on
gonna
how fast
say.
you
Wait a second.
drive.
I was
Wait a
thinking
second, Rich.
Vancouver.
How fast do you drive?
You're driving.
No, I was just.
kilometers per hour.
I was just.
Yeah. If Magic has taught me anything, it's that blue is the best color in card games.
You realize there's obviously going to be an apparent time skip with your glasses being empty and mine having turned into red wine.
Yes, I know. Well, before you even had a glass, so. Well,
I was a glass
Dude,
full of water and I turned it into wine.
Oh, Jesus!
You ruined it. I was going to. I was gonna make a joke. It'd be edited out, but I was gonna get you guys laughing. It's a for bloopers' sake.
Screw it. I'm getting it in. It's going to be in there.